Okay, thank you, Ramesh. Even before I ask my first question, I just want to highlight first signers to the Canadian Code of Ethics. I just want to remind everybody they are a Canadian company, so without being stereotypical, they're a little ahead of the rest of us on ethics. So,
thank you. I missed that point.
Yeah.
So we are the first signer to be proud to say that. Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's important because they really have been thinking about this. So one of the questions you had mentioned earlier that you should be considering pluggable models. Why pluggable LLMs? Why pluggable in particular?
Right. So we see that with Gen AI, there are so many models out in the market, and each one has its own set of benefits. Right. You need to choose the right that brings the value. So we have been playing in this cybersecurity industry. I'm just giving an example about the LLM. Right. So one option is I can go and buy ChatGPT, which may cost $100 million for me. Or we found another model, which is about $35 for training the model, right? So it is important to know the gap, right, the wide range. Accordingly, you spend more on the computer, GPU, CPU, memory. So think about different things. And then you also look at, besides the value, you also look at the business use case. You have a language-dependent model, language-related model. You have domain-specific. For financial industry, there are specific models for financial industry. So it's important to look at the options and choose the right one. So we have partnered with Google Vertex, Vertex AI and other Llama 2, Palm 2, sorry. Then we also ask our customers to pick the right model for them. So we are more on the back-end side to help the customer. That's a good question. Yeah, thank you.
Well, and speaking of back-end side helping customers, I know another question, since you guys have a long history in cybersecurity, there's an ongoing debate, and I know what side I'm on, that, who does AI help more, the attackers or the defenders? Maybe rather than answer that, I would ask you to answer, what are some of the cybersecurity risks that AI creates, and what should financial services firms be doing in particular to cope?
Right, yeah, that's a great question again. So cybersecurity, becomes a big challenge, especially for financial industry, because you're talking about PI data, possibly leaking data in many ways. So how do we do this? Again, Jonah talked about earlier on having this team size growing up, right? So you need to have enterprise AI strategy, right? How do you control the environment? What are your list of AI use cases that you want to do? How do you protect the AI environment, whether it is from platform applications, from the security threats, as well as provide the framework for the team so that they know the guidelines and what they need to follow this particular AI model, or developing a model, or leveraging existing model. So this way, you are making sure that the cybersecurity threats are avoided. Again, the information governance is the key, right? So how do you get the unstructured data? Because getting the data is not a big deal, but how do you go through this process and identifying and classifying and removing those, or filtering out the data based on the data access rights or data issues they're facing? That's where you minimize the problem. Of course, the fraud prevention, you can leverage the AI, as you talked about, to start preventing those that happens. The AI being used by hackers as well, so you need to prevent that. So there is a strategy. There is advisory services, and we are happy to talk about it if you are looking for one side of advisory on that one.
And I also think, just to highlight, it's all about the data is kind of the key point.
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
The thing you have to, and one of the things that scares me with AI generally is that it is capable of doing things like accurately recreating PII without ever having been exposed to the PII. So the idea is you can't just go in and say, well, this is PII, we protect it, this isn't. They can look at the stuff that isn't and intuit what is, and that changes everything in terms of how you think about it.
We don't know which one is real.
Exactly. Ramesh, I think you're off, but
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks again.